Okay, I've been asked to cover some of the responsibilities of players on defense and some of the responsibilities of the libero. Now, today, since usually I use the toys from my SMES game, this toy usually represents our middle blockers. To differentiate this player from the other players, today I'm going to use this little ghost. Since it's almost Halloween, why not? I know it's tiny, but it's the best I have. So that'll be the libero. Alright, so you know that at the start of the match, the libero can't be on the court. They have to check lineups first, and then the libero may run onto the court between the 10-foot line and the back row and switch out with really any player that's back row at the time. But oftentimes I will switch them out with my middle if my middle is not as agile as the libero at defense and digging and passing. But if I do have middles that are great at defense, I leave them on. There's no rule that says you have to use a libero. So at any rate, let's start to cover where you play on defense and whose ball is what. Okay, so I have them already switched to position. These are my two setters, or setter and a right side opposite. This is middle blocker, outside hitters. Okay, all right. So let's say that we have a hitter on the other side of the court hitting from left front. So we're going to close up the block. And what I want to demonstrate to you guys is how the block takes away an area and why I want my right back digger on the sideline, why I want my left back digger here near the sideline, and my left front player here pulled back also near the sideline. I'm going to explain this to you guys now. Libero or middle back is lining up on this hitter's hitting arm between the blockers. So what you can see here is if there is a hole in the block, all right, it's going to create this area that you would begin in on the hitter's arm, watching that ball and being ready. That's your best place to begin, near the back line. You don't want to sneak up in here. The job of getting the balls in this area here are the side players. They come in to get that. You have to stay home back here in middle back. When you're playing middle back defense, you stay home. Just a good step in off that end line is where you should be. Okay, so I'm showing you that. The block is taking away, we want to assume that the block is taking away this area here, and we want to assume that our other blocker is taking away this area here. So we play our defense inside the areas that the block is not taking. Alright, so then we're ready to move and run stuff down, obviously, that comes off hands or that lobs over the block. You know, the smushier hits, you have to just be ready to move forward. But starting here on the edges on the sidelines allows you that ability to move forward. Also, digging inside the block where you can see that hitter's arm allows you to watch her hand change from hitting to dink. You can see if she puts two hands up, if she drops her hand down, you know it's going to be a roll shot. So digging here inside the blocker's hands where you can see this hitter allows you the ability to watch her change her arm. Okay, so I'm going to remove these so I can show you a few other things now. Okay. All right, so let's say that it's a driven ball. All is well, right? Driven ball here, this hitter's going to take. A driven ball on the sharp angle, sorry, I said digger. Digger is going to take. In the harder angle, this digger will take. If it's a short ball in between the two, this player will cross in front of this player and take the shorter ball, but this one will be behind just in case this player decides to open up and say you. This player will be here. All right? Same thing functions in the back. On the angle that comes this way, in between these two players, this player will take the shorter ball and middle back will swing behind to take the deeper angle. If this player decides to open up, you're already there, waiting to dig, all right, as middle back. Okay? And same thing this other direction. If the ball comes in between these two players, then this player would slide in for the shorter version. This player slides around behind on that deeper angle, just in case this player does not take the ball. Okay, now also, if the ball is hit high over the right side player, middle back needs to run that down. Okay? If the ball is hit high into this corner, middle back needs to run that down. Okay? But middle back does not ever run up here into the 10-foot area or anywhere near it. That is the job of the side people, the people who can see the hitter's hand and what's changing. Okay, so if the ball is lobbed over to the center of the court here, that's going to be the job of one of these players. It's easier for this player to go for everything. I'll show you here. Everything up to there roughly. Okay, because you're running towards a ball that's coming towards you. Okay, so these two players here are running down everything that's dink and slop in the middle there. And this player here will run down the short dink over the block and everything here, and include things too that come out here that touch off the block. Okay, so what that leaves for middle back is running down slop roughly shaped like this. Okay, so middle back can dive forward, but not so far forward that these people stop and start to get worried about colliding. You don't want to create that situation where you stop your outside diggers from coming after those balls. So your job is to stay home, stay deep. Okay, another thing too is when we're hitting the ball, let's put a blocker over here. Okay, let's say we're hitting the ball and we're up covering. Okay, here's our hitter. Middle back never moves up to cover. You don't move up in here. You're leaving that whole court vulnerable. Middle back always stays home. I tell them, make a campfire and hang out right there, because that is where you belong. Whenever a ball comes off anywhere in that deep court, you've got to run it down, and you've got to stay home for that. It'll come to you most of the time, okay, if it's going deep. So, all right, so that's what that looks like. I'll stop the camera now and erase it and show you what it looks like digging middle hitters.